This Fables lesson is a little bit different from the others because it's not going to be about grammar or spelling or punctuation or any of the normal skills of English. It's going to be about understanding how fables work a bit better. Now, we've said before that fables don't have a lot of description in them, and they don't have a lot of description because it's assumed you know a lot of it. Fables are always about animals, and as adults and probably as children even of your age, animals already have certain characteristics that you just know. You've seen enough films and you've read enough stories to know how characters as animals are supposed to act in stories. So let's look at an example. This is a fox. In stories, foxes are nearly always clever. They're nearly always intelligent, another word for clever. Cunning, which is a type of cleverness that's not just knowing lots of facts, but having plans and being able to trick things. They're sly, they're subtle. In some stories, they're also evil and cruel. They're often bad characters. So if you think about the Peter Rabbit stories, um, the fox in that, Mr. Todd, he's clever. He's always trying to trick people, but he's also cruel and evil. I think this has probably got something to do with the fact that hundreds of years ago, when these stories were being written, foxes were the animals that came and stole your chickens and killed your small farmyard animals. So they were probably seen as an enemy. And they were the type of animal that no matter how good you were at putting fences around your farm, they would get in. So they were seen as being clever. This means that if you have a fox in a story, you don't have to say the clever fox, the sly fox, the intelligent fox, the cunning fox, or even the cruel or evil fox. Your reader is supposed to just understand that and just know it. So this lesson today is where I'm going to ask you to think about lots of different animals and then think about all the different stories you've seen those animals in, all the different films that you've watched them in, all of the different books that you've read with those types of animals in, and just think, what do they normally have in common? What do people normally make these sorts of animals like? So here's a list of animals I think are good ones to think about. So first of all, we've got elephants. What are elephants famous for? What are elephants normally like? And I'm after normal ones. So not Elmer the elephant. Don't tell me that elephants are normally patchwork and multicoloured, because they're not normally like that. What are elephants normally like in stories? What are owls are like? So there's owls in stories like Winnie the Pooh. That's got owls in it. Donkey. There's one. There's one in Shrek. There's one also in Winnie the Pooh. There's Eeyore, isn't there? What are lions like? Lions have come up in lots of our fables. Lions are in quite a few Disney films. So if you think about your Robin Hood's got a lion character in it, playing Richard the Lionheart. Mice. What's a mouse normally like in a story? You've seen a few stories. Dogs. What are they normally like? Pigs. If somebody said you were being a bit of a pig, what would they mean? What would they be describing you as? Tortoises and hares. Well, we've got that tortoise and hare story. Hares or rabbits, I think you could probably do. Spiders. What are spiders normally like in stories? Sloths. What are they famous for? Weasels, what are they famous for? Wolves. Wolves are in lots of stories. It's probably quite an easy one. What are wolves normally famous for being like? Snakes are the same. Rats. Another good one to think of is the Gruffalo story. What are the animals like in that? What's the snake like in that? What are rats normally like? So thinking of your Peter Rabbits, your fables, your children's stories, your Disney films, and all of those sorts of things, I want you to think about, let's say, pick 4 of these animals. So obviously you're going to put the date and you're going to put the learning objective. And then I want you to pick 4 animals. Now you could either write the animal's name in the middle and draw a circle around it, and then add words around the outside. Or you could draw a picture of the animal. My donkey. It looks a bit more like a rabbit. And then you could have arrows coming off it. Now, some animals are famous for lots of things, and some animals are famous for fewer things. So some you'll have more arrows and some you'll have less. If you've chosen a few animals that don't really have much to say about them, perhaps you might need more than 4. What you will notice is I did these in 2 colours. I did them in green and red. Green were the things that I think always describe those characters, and red is the things that I think only sometimes describe them. Foxes aren't always the bad guys in stories. Sometimes the fox uses its cunningness to be a good guy. Sometimes it uses its cunningness to be a bad guy. So if it's something that you think that they are always famous for, I would write it in green. If it's something you think that they are sometimes famous for, I would write it in red. So, sometimes in red, always in green. Okay, so at least 4 animals, but if you pick some animals that you don't have much to say about them, perhaps you might want to do 5 or 6 different animals. You can draw a picture of them or write the word in the middle, and I want you to surround them by things that describe those animals, basically adjectives that describe those animals, but not their appearance, it's their personality. So I haven't put orange or small, I've put clever and sly and intelligent and cunning and cruel and evil. So things that describe those animals' personalities. You might want to talk to other people, ask members of your family, ask adults what they think of when you say an animal, and perhaps that will give you some more ideas. Any problems? Just drop us a question in Edmodo.